Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are looking at the third or fourth episode of the show Glitch Text. We're in for another round of character growth and world building, and the world that it is building is off. In the first analysis, I noted first and foremost how the very landscape of the town was set in was odd. You see, most American shows are set in cities. Most cities are built on floodplains. A show, especially an animated show, is almost always set in an area surrounded by plains, possibly rolling hills. At best, far distant blue mountains. In addition, the very real reason about floodplains is that there's a technical reason for this. Blue sky is easy to animate, and if there's a difference between the background between one scene and another, well, by their very nature, things that are in the sky move. It's not a problem if the clouds are placed differently between shots. But mountains, not distant blue blurs, mind you, but mountains that shoulder together over the skyline, must be animated separately. Trees that are closer appear to move more than trees that are farther off. Peaks that are closer appear to move more than peaks that are farther off. Adding a forested mountain to the background of the show makes it orders of magnitude more complex to animate. Remember back when you first watched Bambi and were mesmerized by how the trees moved at different rates as the camera panned through the forest? That is an image, a technique that was released in 1942, and it rivals and exceeds images we see even in the theatrical release movies to this day. They didn't really exceed it until the development of deep canvas tech 57 years later for the jungle scenes in the 1999 Tarzan. The only recent heavily forested show for broadcast television was the acclaimed Gravity Falls of 2012. So that's twice the most powerful animation company flat out invented new technology to animate a forest background, and once they used it as a visual hook in a show that they were using to build their brand. The TLDR version of that is that animating forested mountains in the background is expensive, it is hard, it is almost wasteful for an animated show. So why is a Nick and Netflix cartoon dedicating itself to doing this with almost every episode of a broadcast show? Let's take a look at the show that most recently used the trope of looming and enclosing mountains, Gravity Falls. The whole point of that show was that Gravity Falls was a town with a secret. There was a threat that loomed over the town in the form of an extra-dimensional presence. The town in Glitch Text, Bailey, if the sign can be believed, also has something looming over it with the mountains. The comically large antenna of the Hinobi store. The episode opens with a long pan of the Hinobi antennae, the crowding mountains, and bringing that odd duality back, a glimpse of the open ocean just over the shoulder of the mountain, an ocean we haven't seen or even heard referenced before. Somehow, the glimpse of light and open water only makes the scene more claustrophobic. The setup for this episode is fairly simple. Training day is over and past, and it's the kids' first real day on the job. They are given their gauntlets and sent out to level up. The odd RPG nature of their job is noted, referenced, and accepted without much comment. The delightful contrast between the attitude of the two friends is highlighted as Miko claims the spotlight. This is her episode of character development with an emphasis on focus. We learn more about her family situation. She learns her lesson and comes out the other side a wiser glitch tech, having learned that she has a duty to her Nakama. She shines and grows all without having to tear down or degrade Fives to do it. In fact, Fives only looks better as Miko improves, growing with her, and that is good writing, to be able to build up your characters without insulting or tearing down the others around them. It is a well-written children's show. As I said, pretty colors, simple morals, wholesome, and the animation would make any artist drool for that level of skill. It would have been a perfectly normal episode, and I might even manage to brush off that odd duality of unease in the pure enjoyment of watching them hunt down and track and capture these glitches. But then the show referenced this odd duality in universe. It referenced it in the same way it's dealt with all these things before. The children face the issue, the moral dilemma, and then brush it off because they are, especially Miko, very childlike children. These are not things that they are ready mentally and morally to face yet, and they kind of pass over their heads in the way that you don't remember the conversations your parents had when you were little, even though you understood their language. Miko rescues one of the holographic projections that seem to have no source in this town. One of the odd things that aren't really classifiable by cartoon logic. Is her new companion pet, Allie, a normal part of the physics of this fantastic universe, which would be fine? Or is she an aberration that shouldn't be there according to the known laws of the universe? When Miko takes a moment, a very brief moment, to ponder the implication of Allie's existence, of Allie's life, of Allie's personality, Miko does have an uneasy moment. But for a moment, she breezily touches on the feeling that we, the audience, have been nurturing for 3 or 4 episodes now. She says, "You're the greatest bird that's ever lived. Actually, I don't know if you're technically alive, and thinking about that makes me feel kind of weird. But anyway, you're amazing." Once again, Miko is written well as a highly intelligent child. The camera even takes a moment to pan over her chubby knees and elbows, as if it were making a point of her childishness in her physicality. So Miko gets a kick in the pants character growth arc, and Fives, already established as the classic hero, gets a he was heroic even without his tech type of scene. The plot twist that saves Miko's job from her immaturity is perfectly logical according to the established rules of this world. More than that, it is perfectly logical according to the specific hints that were given in the beginning of the episode. To the point where you would almost have questioned why Miko and Fives didn't figure out the plot twist before, but again, they are highly intelligent children. Them missing the plot twists is actually perfectly logical. This is a well-written show. That is why I am so eager for the next 10 episodes. I want to know why they are building this sense of unease in the audience. Why is the implication of a government experiment hovering over this placid and peaceful town? So, what do you think? Leave a like if you agree, and leave a comment smashing my analysis like a road glitch if you disagree. Check out my Teespring channel for some weird human merch, and share this video if you want to see more. Your updates and your comments give me the power to go on. Peace out, my wonder.